So I've been contemplating on doing this video and it will not leave my spirit. So I'm just going to do it. So many times we end up being told to avoid certain people in certain places. We might not necessarily be told why. And sometimes some of us need a why. But God doesn't necessarily say a why. So I know I've done a video in the past where I've stated that my aunt, who was like a mom to me, passed away. And she used to tell me, I think it was like back in 2011, like, stay away from this particular person. And I didn't adhere to certain things. I continue to hang around certain people because I say, oh, I'm not going to be like them. But things go deeper, because the more you hang around someone, you could pick up certain things and you don't know what that person is into. So you could pick up stuff from them. So as many people may know, like, my uncle used to hang out with like Raquel and them. So when I came up here, I hung out with Raquel. And then when Renisha and them came out, I started hanging around. We would go to the gym together. We would do little stuff together. And it used to be like go to, it was like get those crab bags and stuff like that. Do stuff like that. And I used to say a lot about my stuff, my life. And I couldn't understand, even if like people used to say, oh, don't say it, like I couldn't understand why that was happening. It was spiritual warfare without knowing. And I wasn't someone who actually liked to talk a lot. If I'm around somebody that I know, then I'll talk a lot on a particular topic, but that's not necessarily like my own stuff. So I started, because there's certain things I kept to myself. But when it comes to other areas, I will talk about it because I didn't think that it was that serious. I didn't think that those area of my life was important. So I continued to hang around and everything like that. And then when Raquel got sick, I still, went around, did whatever I could to help out or whatever the case may be. And people thought she the worst, because for some reason some Caribbean people think like, oh, if you're sick, they automatically write you off as dead. If something going on, they automatically write you off as dead. She experienced stuff. But God gave her the grace. She had a point where she could have barely talk because she tried to communicate with me and I couldn't understand. And I had to walk away because I wanted to cry because I couldn't understand what she was saying. And God gave her the strength where she's able to communicate. She's able to vocalize. Yes, she was done dirty by her family, but most people don't talk about that, because those are the same people when I was going through my stuff talk about me like a dog. Talked about me like a dog. My mother did not have a rental place to put me in. But Miss Esther had a rental place that her own daughter was renting. And she took the stuff and put it in the basement. You could have left the stuff because the extra dollar would not have drained your pockets. I'm realizing like there are deeper spiritual stuff that's happening to our people. While Raquel was getting better, they had to take care of her daughter. I'm the type of person, if I have a child with me, I don't care if I look not put together, that child is not going to look not put together, because whether you're mine or not, if you're with me, you're going to look presentable, because it's going to, no one would know if you're my child or not, but it will fall on me. So since I stood for godmother, even if it's not biblical, but I stood for it, I try to do what I could have done. But I could only do so much. If I did the hair, I wasn't expecting to come and take it out, wash it, rinse it, dry it, and then do it over and keep it. It would have been nice for somebody else to say, you know what? Oh, Cam, you coming and do it this? I'll take it out. You know what I mean? No. But I'm the crazy one. I'm deemed the crazy one. Crazy for doing right. And I'm not saying this to get a pat. I'm just saying the extent people will go to because they have hate for you. It doesn't matter what you do. Once people have a jealousy and a hate towards you, they will say whatever and they will do whatever. So I will distance myself. Sometimes I will go and visit when I can. Even if when she was coming out, she couldn't go to the place where her mother was because they will have to put a ramp and it will need a bigger space. So, maneuver. What I'm saying is a testimony of the power of God to never wipe anybody out no matter what they're going through in life. I started separating myself around that time because I didn't like certain things. And then later, I really started separating myself when be careful of people you think are friends, but they not really your friend. They actually hate you, but they'll pretend like you guys cool to kind of like take you out. So I used to hang with Ornacia, and she had a friend named Nadine. Nadine is Jamaican. So she used to hang with Nadine. She will come and tell me Nadine stuff, and I'll be, oh, I'm sorry that this happening to her. That's the kind of response I will give. I wouldn't be like, oh, really? And add to, I'm like, oh, that I'm sorry that's happening. That's not nice, whatever. But don't you know that she'll take in my stuff and take to Nadine? Obviously, that was the case. So then Nadine started looking at me weird. And I was like, okay. So don't think like people that bring in negativity, like me, you bring something negative to me, I will look for the positive in it and be like, oh, I'm sorry. Now I'll just be like, I don't want to hear it. Because that's what people do sometimes. A dog that bring a bone will carry a bone back. We used to go to the gym together and all that stuff. But I remember one time was by Raquel, and I have to pass by where she lived with her grandmother to go to where I live. She called my uncle to give her a ride. That's how my aunt was still alive. And I called my aunt. I'm like, something don't seem right. Like, she called my uncle to give her a ride. Before. So, yeah. People will start plotting stuff way in advance. People will start plotting stuff way in advance. So later, I think we stopped talking like 2018, because I remember 2017 I went with her to New York because her mother was supposedly getting married. Yeah, I think it was around the time her mother was supposed to be getting married, either 2017 or 2018, supposed to be getting married. And her aunt or sister or someone who was in New York had red velvet cake, and I was like, oh, I wanted to see what all the rave was. I took a bite of that thing and I almost choked. And from around that time, stuff hasn't really been the same. Like, something happened when I took that trip to New York. When I came back, things wasn't so good. I was in a program at that time, but only a few would go ahead and a few will wait. So the following year, so it was 2017, because the following year, 2018, was when I got in, and something happened where I'm like, I need to leave this program because this lady is out for me. I felt it in my spirit. And I left, and she said something to me, and I was like, wow. Like, it broke me. But I had already left the program, and she said something to me, and I told her, I say, I'm not in the program, so I would appreciate it if you stop sending me emails, because this is harassment, because I'm no longer in the program. So I went through a dark period, and I was healing and everything like that. And then I told my aunt, I said, you know what? For my birthday, I'm just going to have like a get together. So I end up having something that December for my birthday. And I had created a little bit of a clutter, but it wasn't anything crazy, but it was more than I like. So that's how I knew, like, when I'm going through stuff and I'm not, like, now I'm able to be in the word and I realize certain stuff is spiritual. So the enemy will try to trigger that to get me to forget about, like, what I need to be doing. So Nadine and Renisha came over, and I was like giving them a right to go back. And she made a comment, and I was like, wow. So from, I think it was 2018, I had cut her off. In 2019, she had called me to ask me a question about if I knew someone's sister lost a baby, and if I knew a particular female or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, they probably have something. But I was focused on life, just getting myself together. Then 2020, my aunt had a stroke. So I left. I took time off from the nursing program, went back and forth, did what I needed to do. End up getting into a situation because I felt guilty because I didn't go and see my aunt in Beckway, because they asked me, oh, you coming and see your aunt in Beckway, and I felt guilty. So I didn't know how to deal with situation at that time. So someone who was into me, but they weren't my type, they weren't a person I saw my like a future or anything with, I asked them for a favor, and that's how a situation started with us. Now people judge me, people say whatever, that's their business. And around that time, a lot started happening with me because my features started changing. I went from like petite, not like fully petite, but I went from like a good size to being like somebody inject me. I almost look like a blowfish. Like, I blew up. Not knowing someone did stuff to this person. So me joining myself with them, I opened myself to that. Someone was doing witchcraft to Deshaun. So me joining with Deshaun, I opened myself to that. Sometimes he used to be with like, oh, you sit there, you see so much, because sometimes I used to ask question, and he like, how you know that? It's like, I just used to know stuff. I wasn't looking for it. I just used to ask question. So I'm still thankful to him and his people, because I was able to be around them during the time when, the loss of my aunt. So I was still thankful, even if it wasn't supposed to go that way. But I know people said whatever and they continue. If they saw us talking, they will assume whatever. That's how people set up. They wouldn't ask you question personally, but they'll just assume and take whatever, run with it, listen to whatever they hear somebody else say, run with it, and then you have this whole thing that is a bag of lie. When I came back, mind you, those time I wasn't having conversation with Renisha. If we say hi, hello, whatever, but we wasn't cool like how we was. So I used to still, go around, but we wasn't cool like that. 2021, I went back to school, and in April, I wasn't feeling so good. They say it was C19 pneumonia, so I had to be hospitalized because I couldn't really breathe. I had to go on high flow oxygen. Some of the medication that they gave me for treatment gave me steroid-induced psychosis. Then they treated me with Seroquel, which is an antipsychotic, to help with the psychosis, and that didn't help. Then they gave me Zyprexa. Then they thought that was helping, but that was stopping my heart rate, hence why I coded so many times and I knew I died. Then they went as far as giving Haldol. Mind you, I never had anything to those. Before that, they had given me Oxy. I told them I have pain, but I have a high tolerance for pain. I have a high tolerance for pain. So I never asked for anything. So while I'm going through this, I'm having spiritual awakening. I'm seeing things on a deeper level. I already had discernment, but I didn't know it was discernment. I thought it was just, that's how everyone, have that, ability. Some people able to, know more than others. So I started seeing stuff on a deeper level. Around that time, people reached out to me, but they didn't reach out to me because they care. They reached out to me because they wanted to find information. So I remember I said, you know what? I need help. I said I need help getting rid of stuff. I was even going to pay. But before I pay, I was going to use what I have as far as payment. So I was like, oh, boom, I have a barrel. I said, I have this, I have that. I could pay you with this. A barrel is like $30-something around that time. And I know you were shipping stuff back home. So that's barter. So, okay, Renisha came and helped me. That was my form of payment. But it was only that one time. But I had to pay something. But before that, everything that happened before, I was not crazy. Me almost losing my life, somehow that made me crazy. Somehow, in those moments, or was it the fact that I was having spiritual warfare and people wanted me to go crazy? And God allowed things to happen because at the time I didn't know I had authority. Because I was still learning. I just gave myself to God to be used as a vessel. My name got dragged like a dog. And that will be until eternity. Some people will do that. I'm not saying I'm going to stop people. I'm just saying when people tell you to avoid certain people, or if you see certain thing, like people will act like they cool, or somebody that they close to, they bring in something to you and they haven't even spoke to the person. So like, if we spoke about something, I'm not saying anything in a secret, but if you never told me something and then you go in and tell somebody else, like, what we doing? It used to be times where we'll go places and it will like try to bring me down. And I just used to look like, really? When that happened, leave. Don't have no loyalty to people. Even to this day, like when I visit Canawan, Kim, I don't talk to them. But she will see me and stay there and talk bad about me. We don't even know, we don't even talk. But because of the conversation that happened up here in America with the people back home, people know more about you than you know about yourself, or they think they know more. It's like it bring them so much joy to spread the false thing. They don't remember anything, but the moment they get to try to bring you down, they will do it. And then tell me, which part of your life was I jealous of? Which part? Because when I try to say something, you say, oh, we didn't talk for years. We didn't talk for years because you was conniving, you was sneaky, you love gossip. You're self-centered, selfish. And when you reach out to me, I thought you was reaching out to me because, oh, somehow you probably changed. Not knowing you reach out to me and then you went and tell Pete, somebody I used to deal with, and his mother that, oh, I lost my mind. I'm in the hospital fighting for my life. And these are the kind of things you could say? I wasn't losing my mind when I went with you because you needed an extra hand to take stuff to New York to ship for your mother for a wedding that never lasted a year. I'm not throwing shades, but I'm just saying. The witchcraft, because gossip is the witchcraft. Anything I've said here is the truth. When will the witchcraft end? Because Exodus 22:17 say, suffer not a witch to live. But your goal is, you hope I get locked away somewhere. That's your goal, right? That's nothing but witchcraft. And all those who believe, you know better. Because you see me and you could ask me.